Hello and welcome back to my channel. For over 2 decades, there was one match at WrestleMania that stood above everything else. It did not matter if the WWE Championship was on the line. It did not matter if the biggest names in wrestling history were facing off. Because there was something bigger, something that was not about a belt, but about a legacy. They called it the streak. The lights would drop, the arena would fall completely silent, and then a single sound, gong. That sound could freeze the blood in your veins. Through the smoke, under the haunting blue light, The Undertaker made his slow, methodical walk to the ring. For 21 matches at 21 WrestleManias, he walked in undefeated for 21 matches. He walked out the same way. It all began quietly at WrestleMania 7 in 1991. The Undertaker stepped into the ring against Superfly Jimmy Snuka. The match was short, brutal, and decisive. Snuka attempted a high-flying move, but the Deadman caught him, delivered a devastating tombstone piledriver, and covered him. 1, 2, 3. The Undertaker was 1-0. No one realized it yet, but history had begun. The following year, at WrestleMania 8, Jake the Snake Roberts tried to play mind games. Roberts hit his deadly DDT. Not once but twice. The crowd gasped, but The Undertaker sat up. The Phenom delivered another tombstone on the outside of the ring, rolled Roberts back in, and got the 3 count. 2-0. WrestleMania 9 brought a bizarre challenge in the form of Giant Gonzalez. Standing over 7 feet tall, wearing a strange muscle suit ring gear, Gonzalez used his massive size to dominate. But in the end, his own rage got the better of him. After using a cloth soaked in chloroform, Gonzalez was disqualified. The Undertaker was hurt, but victorious. 3-0. At WrestleMania 11, The Undertaker faced King Kong Bundy. The match was slow but powerful, two giants trading heavy blows. Bundy tried to crush the Deadman, but another tombstone ended his night. 4-0. Then came Diesel at WrestleMania 12. Big Daddy Cool used his power to keep The Undertaker down, but every time, the Phenom rose. A massive chokeslam followed by the tombstone, and the streak continued. 5-0. Sid was next at WrestleMania 13 for the WWF Championship. It was a hard-hitting main event that saw The Undertaker hit a final tombstone for the win. 6-0. Then came perhaps the most emotional family feud in WWE history, The Undertaker versus his own brother, Kane, at WrestleMania 14. Kane was an unstoppable monster, kicking out of 2 tombstones. But on the third, he stayed down. 7-0. Years later, Kane would try again at WrestleMania 20. Same result, 12-0. The late 90s and early 2000s brought legends into the Deadman's yard. Triple H at WrestleMania 17 fighting all over the arena. Sledgehammer shots, steel chair strikes. But still, The Undertaker hit the last ride and got the 3 count. 9-0. Ric Flair at WrestleMania 18, bloody, desperate, fighting for pride. But after a brutal tombstone, Flair could not continue. 10-0. Randy Orton at WrestleMania 21 came closest yet, hitting the RKO out of nowhere for a shocking near fall. But when Orton attempted his own tombstone, The Undertaker reversed it into one of his own. 13-0. Batista at WrestleMania 23. A war of power versus Mystique. Batista hit the Batista bomb, but The Undertaker kicked out. Moments later, a devastating chokeslam and tombstone made it 14-0. Then came Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 25, arguably the greatest match in WrestleMania history. 27 minutes of perfection, counters, false finishes, the crowd on their feet from start to finish. Shawn's moonsault turned into a mid-air tombstone. And 15-0, WrestleMania 26 career versus streak. Shawn Michaels gave everything, but a final tombstone ended his career. 16-0. Triple H stepped up next. WrestleMania 27 was a brutal street fight that left The Undertaker unable to walk out. But he still won. 17-0. WrestleMania 28 was held in a cell, with Shawn Michaels as special referee. The closing moment, Triple H cradled in Shawn's arms, both looking up at the dead man. It was the end of an era, 18-0. CM Punk at WrestleMania 29 mocked Paul Bearer's death in the build-up. The match was pure intensity, ending with Punk crushed by a tombstone. 20-0, and then it happened. WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker vs. Brock Lesnar. The Beast was relentless, the crowd still believed. But after a third F5, 1, 2, 3, silence. Paul Heyman screamed, "Oh my god." Fans were frozen, the streak was dead. The Undertaker's record was 21-1. He came back in later years beating Bray Wyatt, Shane McMahon, John Cena, but it was never the same. At WrestleMania 36, in a cinematic boneyard match against AJ Styles, the Deadman rode into the night one last time. The streak was more than wins and losses, it was the heartbeat of WrestleMania. It was mystique, it was magic, it ended. But it will never be forgotten because there was, and there always will be, only one Deadman. The streak may have ended, but its shadow still stretches over WrestleMania. For more than 20 years, it was the heartbeat of the biggest night in sports entertainment. The one moment fans waited for every single year. It gave us drama, it gave us emotion, it gave us memories that will never fade. The Undertaker walked into history not just as a winner, but as a legend whose presence could silence a stadium with a single gong. Records can be broken, matches can be forgotten, but the streak will live forever because there was, and there always will be, only one Deadman.